Hey guys, I'm here today to tell you about the books that I have completed without doing a wrap up for you all. The first book that I'm going to talk to you about is The Lux by Anna Godbersen, and also Gossip Girl, the first book in the Gossip Girl series. The reason that I read these two books is because I was a guest on a podcast that I absolutely love. It is called YA Today. It is hosted by this amazing woman called Kate, and I definitely think that you should check it out if you enjoy YA. If you like my sense of humor, you will love Kate's sense of humor. She's really funny and quick and witty, and seriously, like, my favorite episode, I can't even talk about it without laughing because it's super funny. She did it with her husband, and it is called it's the Raven Boys, but they call them Dem Raven Boys, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just like the funniest thing. Like, seriously, you guys need to check it out. It's called YA Today. I will link the episodes that I've been on. I've been on 2, so you'll hear me talking about the other book that I was on. I think I gave The Lux maybe 4 stars, and I gave Gossip Girl like 2.5 or 3 stars. What I read after those was Trust by Kylie Scott. This is a YA book. It is about a girl. What's the girl's name? Edie. So this girl named Edie, who is like, she's not particularly like pretty or skinny, and this guy John saves her life during an attempted robbery. Edie sort of goes off the deep end. It's like their love story basically. Like I said, I gave it 2 stars. It wasn't anything particularly exciting. Next up was Prom Prejudice by Elizabeth Ullberg. I think I also gave this one 2 stars. Yeah, I did. It's just like a modern day sort of, you know, reimagining telling of Pride and Prejudice. I do kind of like that dynamic between characters. I just don't think that it was executed very well. The Wickham character was brought into it way too late for it to be any sort of rival for the girl's affection, in my opinion. I read this book at the same time, I think, as Kate from YA Today, link down below, and that is Final Girls by Riley Sager. I actually read this maybe in October, like it could have been a spooky thing. This book, it honestly had a lot of promise. The synopsis of it sounds way more fabulous than it actually is, and my review on Goodreads is I could go for a grape soda and Xanax after reading this book. Let me just back up a little bit. This is a book about a girl named Quincy. Quincy is a final girl. If you watch horror movies or anything like that, the final girl is the one who survives the slaughter, the massacre. Quincy this was 10 years ago, I think it was. Pine Cottage is when all of her friends were killed. And she survived. She's, you know, gotten out, and she's still maintained a relationship with, well, a friendship with the police officer who was the first responder on the scene. And she's like moved on. She's living in New York. She has a boyfriend and a blog where she posts food photos and things like that. She receives word that another one of her fellow final girls has killed herself, and then a different final girl, so there's like from different tragedies. I think that the final girl who killed herself was a sorority murder, like a big thing, like a sort of like a Ted Bundy-esque kind of, you know, like you get that vibe from it. And then the final girl who comes and bands together is, what was she, like a motel massacre? Yeah. So this is kind of like a murder mystery, but it's kind of not, because you're like wondering what's going on. There are flashbacks to what happened the 10 years previous to Quincy at Pine Cottage. I honestly just feel like there were points of this where I was like, what? Like, okay, so the police officer who saved Quincy, because Quincy still kind of meets up with him like once a month just to see how each other is doing, because he was quite young when that happened. And then there's also her boyfriend. Her boyfriend is kind of the opinion like, oh, you should just get over it. Like, you shouldn't be like dwelling on it, all of this stuff. The cop is really like, you're strong, you're a survivor. And then like there's Quincy just like popping Xanax and grape soda like it's going out of fashion. And the way that these two men in her life, and even her mum, I think, they all had these really definitive ways of, this is how you deal with trauma. And that doesn't work. Like, anyone can tell you that. There is no way that you can deal with trauma. Like, when someone tells you to do something, it's like, oh, just forget about it, Quincy. It's like, never mind that 6 of your friends were cut into fucking ribbons in front of you. Just get over it. Like, just move on. Just don't think about it. Or like, you're really strong, you're a survivor. And it's like, that's not what she needed to hear when she was feeling vulnerable or like had survivor's guilt. And I couldn't give it any higher than 2 stars. I found it really problematic, and I guessed what the fuck was going on about 20 pages into it, because I am that fucking smart. I then read a semi-definitive list of worst nightmares with Jen and Lisa. I will link Jen from Today in Jen's Library and Lisa from Books and Smiles down below because I love them, you know that. So we buddy read this book. I gave it 4 stars. I think she's an Australian author, I feel like. And read The Vegas Diaries by Holly Madison. I mean, it was fine. A lot of history of Vegas. You don't really find out anything about her married life or her kids or anything like that. If you've read Down the Rabbit Hole, this book is kind of set after she gets out of the mansion and before she meets her husband. So I don't know if she's working on something else that we'll find out more about her life. I did enjoy it. I didn't give it a rating, so I guess I kind of couldn't really rate it, but I mean, it was $10 and I read it, so that's all good. I read VIP by Kristen Callahan. This is just a rock star romance. I think I would have given this like 2.5 stars. Standard thing, you know, country girl finds guy in ditch. Guy turns out to be a famous rock star. Girl can also sing. They fall in love and bang a lot. This next book was read around, yeah, this would have been October. And I gave it 1 star. That is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. This book was a fucking mess. Like, I don't even know what to tell you about this, guys, besides avoid it. Like, it was not good. Killer's motive behind things was so dumb. It was so stupid. Okay, also, like, obviously I'm not American, but these people, I think that it's in, I'm pretty sure it's like Iowa, it's somewhere. They live on farms, and like none of these people have guns or anything to defend themselves with. Like, I didn't believe that at all, especially when there's like a mass murderer happening, or there's just like a killer on the loose in this small ass town. Trying to fit a love story around all of this as well, it was really bizarre to kind of see these 2 people falling in love and connecting with one another while you've got these like intersplicing scenes of the killer cutting people's ears off. There is a scene that I found particularly inappropriate. This is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but I still think that it was fucked up and completely unnecessary for a YA book. There was this girl who is a single parent family. She's looking after her younger siblings, who are mentioned to be quite young. They're like 5 and 7, and then her heart is cut out while her younger siblings are at home and her mother is working the overnight shift at the hospital to support the family. Like, I was just like, I'm not about this. You know, Stephanie Perkins she wrote my favorite book, Isla and the Happily Ever After, and I couldn't get on board with this. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's taken so long for it to come out that I think people were really expecting so much from it, and it just wasn't delivered, especially for me. I think that Stephanie Perkins is a fabulous writer, but I just think that this was really, really not great. So that is my own personal gripe with it. I also think that the stakes just were not high. Like, I just didn't believe that the person who was the killer was capable of those things. I found that completely unconvincing. So yeah, 1 star for that one. Reread of Poseidon by Anna Banks because I want to continue on with the Serena legacy. I don't know what happened with it. I did give it 3 stars. It is The Casket Girls by Elise Arden. Love triangle, of course. You can't have a book without a love triangle these days. One of the love interests, it was super Twilight. Like, it was like this weird animal attraction, but like she knew not to be attracted to him, and my toe just cracked, sorry. So it just keeps cracking. Oh my god, can you hear that? She shouldn't be with him. This is about a girl. What is her name? What's your name, boo boo? Adele. So Adele she's just come back from Paris. She's spent a couple of months there. It's after the hurricane in New Orleans, so Hurricane Katrina, and they're sort of rebuilding. Like, something happens and Adele might be a witch, it's intercut with all of these scenes that she's translated because she speaks French, her mother's French. I think it's Adelina, something like that. This other girl's diary who is a descendant, she's a descendant of. So, I mean, it was weird, like it took a weird direction. I like it enough to probably read the next book, just not in a hurry. I think that the book was also really long, like, yeah, it was 565 pages. I've read the Casket Girls, let me know in the comments down below, because there were just a couple of things that I was like, what's going on with this? The next book I read with Kate, and we did an episode on her podcast. Thank you again for having me, Kate. It was so much fun. Teasing this book was the highlight of my fucking week, and that is Raw by Cora Carmack. I gave this book 2.5 stars. If you want to hear a spoiler fest and all of our thoughts about it, I will link the episode down below. This is a book that everyone says you need to read if you liked the All for the Game trilogy, which I totally love and I am fully trashed for, and full disclosure, I'm in the middle of rereading right now. And that is Evenfall Volume 1 by Santino Hassel, and I would definitely say that, like, when, in terms of books, like, you know, everyone's like, oh my god, the Raven Boys, it's like super gay and super good. Okay, so like, we go way far up to my ceiling. That is the All for the Game trilogy with the Foxhole Court, and then like down is Evenfall, and then like on the ground is Dem Raven Boys. So I would say, like, read these books before you even think the words the Raven Cycle together. Don't know what possessed me to read this book. I gave it 2 stars. It is The Conspiracy of Us by Maggie Hall. This has been called the Da Vinci Code for YA. I don't know, like, I guess probably a girl named Avery has purple eyes and her mum is mysterious. She doesn't know where her father is. It's all of these like powerful families. It's very like Illuminati confirmed. Insert that the X-Files song. She has to follow a trail of clues, something to do with Alexander the Great. There is a love triangle, of course, and one's British and one's like Russian and super hot. Dividing Eden by Joelle Charbonnet. This is about twins Karis and Andreas. Synopsis of this book is a complete spoiler, just so everyone knows. I listened to the audiobook of this one. Karis and Andreas have a really volatile relationship. Some weird shit's up with Andreas, like he's got some crazy stuff happening, and Karis is basically a drug addict. So it's in a high fantasy setting. Did I tell you that I gave it 2 stars? I mean, look out, I guess I could like read the next one next year. Oh my god, it's so far away. It's so far away, I say, in the middle of December. It's like next year is just so far away. And the last book that I have read since I haven't been making videos for you guys, I'm so sorry again, is The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakovic. I gave it 4 stars the first time that I read it, and I gave it 4 stars the second time that I read it. Honestly, I cannot give this any more than 4 stars. It's just, it is too confusing when you first read it, but the second and third books, they definitely get way better. I'm like maybe I'm like 3/4 and 2.5 through the second book, and you know, the tone of it, the pace of it is like way better. With the first book, it definitely, I don't think it's like so much information dumping, it is character dumping. You are just assumed to remember all of these people straight away. Can't give it a full 5 stars because it is just super confusing, and it's still confusing even looking back at it with eyes that know things. So guys, that is everything that I have read. Read 122 books this year. My goal was set at 60 at the beginning of the year. I upped it to 100, so 122 is good. In terms of reading for next year, I'm hoping that I can do it. I've just got so much going on, and I feel like I'm like never on top of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, does anyone else get that? Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Vlogmas. I'm doing good with Vlogmas. There's been days where I'm like, I can't fucking do anything. I'm just like, just do a video. Just do one video. There are 5 people out there who want to see this video. I hope you're having a really good day. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books. If you want to read any of these books, I was like, where's my phone for this case? I'm filming on it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Lots of love, hugs, and kisses wherever you are in the world. Mwah! Bye.